The following program describes cash rewards for the recovery of missing people and objects. These rewards are offered by private citizens and organizations, not the program producers or broadcaster. Each reward carries specific conditions which must be met before the reward can be collected. This program contains interviews with some of the actual people involved and uses recreations to dramatize the events.
A feud between grandfathers lands one in jail and leaves the other searching for his stolen granddaughter.
If I turn her in or if I find her and bring her back, then I would not be in jail, but she would be. And I would personally rather be in jail than to have my daughter in jail.
I just don't see, how in her own mind she justifies that she's solving any problems by taking a child and running all over the country with it.
He's offering $5,000 to get her back. Millions of meticulously drawn animation cells were thrown out by Hollywood studios. The collector will pay up to $500,000 for animation art. Straight-A student Doug Simmons disappeared from a Grateful Dead concert in Raleigh. What happened? His family is offering $2,000 for information. And the father's search for his 3-year-old son, featured on Missing Reward, culminates in a grueling negotiation with a drug addict.
Oh, yeah, your boy's all right. I know where he's at.
Where are you, Joe? Where can I get him?
Rewards totaling over $500,000 are about to be offered on Missing Reward. One phone call can change your life. That's what Brad Hartford learned. Brad's story was featured on this program after his ex-wife disappeared with their 2-year-old son. He searched for over a year, aided by private investigators, the police, and the FBI. But the case was broken when the boyfriend of Brad's ex-wife learned that Brad was offering a reward and tried to collect it himself.
Hello?
Brad recorded the entire conversation on his home answering machine.
Yeah, this is Brad.
No, it ain't. What's your middle name? What's your boy's middle name?
His first name is Brad. His middle name is Ben. I call him Ben.
Oh, yeah, your boy's all right. I know where he's at.
Where are you, Joe? Where can I get him?
Can you meet me somewhere down in Tampa Bay?
I'll meet you anywhere right now.
Make it worth my while, because I got people shooting shit at me.
You take care of me. I'll give you $1,000 cash when I get there.
I'll take care of you. I got your boy, man. I know where he's at. Oh, man, you got smart as a whip, boy. He's the cutest boy I ever met.
I can't wait to see him.
He don't need to be on the run and shit. He needs to be with his daddy.
And you're staying with Lil?
No, she don't go by Lil nowadays.
What does she go
Living
by?
at my house, all right? And I found out all this shit about her.
I want my boy. I don't care about her. Give me a place where I can meet you, Joe.
All right, meet me at, do you know St. Pete? Can you write this fucking shit down?
St. Pete, yeah.
22nd Street, 58th. It's 22nd Avenue, 58th Street, North, St. fucking Pete.
What are you gonna look like? What am I looking for?
You're looking for a guy about 5'11", about 165. He's got tattoos all over him. You can't move.
You're gonna be waiting down there for 5 hours until I get there.
5 hours, whatever it takes. As long as you get me out of this stick and run now.
Soon after that conversation, St. Petersburg police took the caller into custody and telephoned Brad in Rhode Island. Brad flew to Florida, and by the next evening he was returning home with his son.
I was feeling really weak, it's just like the emotions were overpowering me, that I was going to finally get to see him after 11 months and 11 days. I didn't even recognize him hardly, because when he left me, he was a little baby. And when I found him, he was this great big tall boy. I had never seen him with so much hair, and he just looked really skinny and really, really scared.
It was sort of like riding on a roller coaster all year, and I had imagined many, many times how it would be, when it would be, and how I would feel and the rest of the family would feel when that moment did happen. And it was exactly the way I had imagined that fantastic fantastic sense of release and relief, but also a tremendous sense of gratitude and wonder, because I felt as if it were truly a miracle.
When he first came home, he talked about the boogeyman and the different sounds he'd hear at night, you know. He was scared, you know, he was really scared. He was a scared little guy because he was confused. His name was changed to David. I'd just like to say to all the families, everyone that's involved with anyone that's missing, that you got to be persistent. Just hang in there because it works. It really works. You'll find those kids. You're going to find them. I found them. I just want to basically get on with my life, and I want to live in peace again. I want to really live in peace. And I want Ben and I to be happy and not have to worry about the boogeyman coming to get us.
Lillian Bajelis was extradited to Rhode Island to face charges of child snatching and contempt of family court. In addition, her parents are being sued for aiding and abetting in this crime. For Brad Hartford, his family, and most of all for Ben, the nightmare is over. Next, in Georgia, a desperate battle for a child has a grandfather in jail and a mother on the run.
A little cheddar makes a plain potato, scrumptious. But without the cheddar cheese...
no thanks.
So add a little cheddar cheese.
Oh, thank you.
And add a lot of taste. Cheese makes all the difference.
I want my cleanest, realest, ivory, 99, 44. I like my ivory.
There's a new pet.
Chia.
Chia Pet, the pottery that grows. It's fun and easy. Soak your chia, spread the seeds, keep it watered, and watch it grow. And now grow a whole collection of fun with chia teddy bears, puppies, rams, bulls. There's even a chia tree to keep your pets company. Chia Pets and Trees, the pottery that grows.
Available at participating Ace, True Value, Service Star, drugstores, and discount department stores.
Energy to pull us through?
This is definitely one night you should test all your batteries with the new Copper Top Tester. It quickly tells you if a battery should be replaced or go on its merry way. The Copper Top Tester. A little present. Only from Duracell.
Lights. So to show you how sales are doing, I've prepared...
You never know what the day will bring. The unexpected's a real sure thing.
When your body responds to sudden stress, Sure responds on demand.
Lights.
Sure's on-demand formula helps keep you dry.
Isn't it better to talk face-to-face? Schedule
Raise your hand.
Sales
on demand.
Nice job.
You're more sure.
If you have any information about the stories on Missing Reward, call 1-900-860-0860. $2 for the first minute, $1 each additional minute.
The bond between grandparent and grandchild is one of the strongest and most special. When a child's parents divorce, their grandparents are often lost in the shuffle of custody and visitation. But in the case of Tamara Griffiths, her grandparents have fought a long, hard battle to keep her, and the struggle is far from over. Call this a tale of two grandfathers. One who has spent over $175,000 trying to locate his granddaughter, Tamara. The other now languishing in jail indefinitely because he does not want Tamara found. Dick Griffiths is the father of Gregory Griffiths, a tall, lanky machine shop worker in Douglas, Georgia, in rural Coffee County. Next door in Atkinson County, Dr. Roger Russell is the only doctor. His daughter Adela and Gregory Griffiths were high school sweethearts. Soon after Greg graduated, Adela became pregnant. They decided to get married, and nobody could have been happier than their doting dads. Then Tamara was born, and that's when the trouble began. Marriage and a new baby did not necessarily give them maturity. The young newlyweds fought almost constantly, and they compensated by spending a lot of time away from each other and Tamara.
I didn't think Her interest was where it should be with a newborn baby. She seemed to leave a lot of the care up to me, even while she was at home, and I always did because I wanted to help their marriage in any way I could, and I thought by doing that for her, it would ease the situation because they weren't getting along at all.
She liked to party a lot. She stayed with her friends a lot. She'd leave work and go somewhere with her friends out of town, shopping, or just, I guess, just partying, whatever.
But Greg liked to party, too. He had alcohol and drug problems that caused him to become violent. So violent, his father had to swear out an arrest warrant and have him thrown in jail.
I think this was probably a tremendous turning point for him, because when he was put in jail, I think it gave him some real time to think about what was happening to his life. I went to him and offered to get him help if he would cooperate, and if he wanted help, we would help him, and he did.
Greg got treatment, but that didn't help the couple get along any better. Within a year of Tamara's birth, Adela moved out, taking the baby with her, back to her dad's house in Atkinson County. Thus began a wrenching tug-of-war over the fate of little Tamara.
After she and Greg separated, we learned of a lot of situations where she was using poor judgment in choosing babysitters. She was not particular about where she left her, or how long she left her, or who she left her with. And this disturbed us.
I hadn't seen Tamara for about a month, and she called me one night and invited me over. She said her dad was going, to the hospital to work, and she was the only one there, and it'd be fine if I came over. So I did, and I was just going to play with Tamara, that's the only thing I had in mind. And we played for maybe an hour or so, and Adela finally came in there and sat down with us, and then she started telling me everything I was doing wrong, and finally I just got fed up, so I just told her that I thought it was my turn to have Tamara for a while, since I hadn't seen her in a month. She tried to get in my way, more or less, we didn't get rough or nothing, and so I went to Mama's house.
Adela said that when she tried to get in between Greg and the baby, why, he knocked her down and grabbed up the baby.
No matter what happened that night, tensions increased to the point where the two families were now on a collision course.
Greg announced that he saw a car coming up the driveway. As I approached the door, people started yelling and screaming, and I could see that it was Dr. Russell and Adela. And I said, "Go away. I do not have to open my door to you." Evidently, she still had a key that we had given her when they were living with us. Dr. Russell came at me and said, "Give me the baby, Bonnie." And Greg runs after him. And the other man beat Greg.
The Griffiths filed suit against the Russells and two Atkinson County deputies. They eventually won a $30,000 settlement. Then Adela filed for divorce. The judge awarded temporary custody of baby Tamara, not to Adela or Greg, but to the paternal grandparents. Greg and Adela would have visitation rights twice a month on alternate weekends.
I've read your affidavit. The judge called the two attorneys up to the desk. Nobody else in the room could hear anything. Talked with them for a few minutes and took the baby away from her. It had no finding of fact, no hearing, no nothing. I had to watch her cry herself to sleep every night, month after month, because she couldn't have her own child. Adela was an adopted child, and the one thing that she could actually say, "This is mine. This is flesh of my flesh. This is really the only thing that I have ever had in my entire life that is totally mine." The Griffiths, through a legalistic charade, are trying to take away from her.
Adela apparently got more and more depressed about the situation after a year of seeing her daughter only every other weekend. On June 30th, 1989, she decided to take matters into her own hands. Adela picked Tamara up as scheduled that weekend and simply never returned.
It was extremely difficult again for us because this was the second time that she'd been taken. We've had a terrible time dealing with that ever since.
Dick Griffiths turned to law enforcement for help, and a warrant was issued for Adela. But even the FBI and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation came up with few leads. Then Dick hired a private detective who printed up missing posters, but found they weren't welcome in Atkinson County, where the Russells lived.
The police department began following us around town. We went into a place of business, asked permission to put up the poster. They granted permission. We would go into a store, put a poster up, they would tear it down. And this happened all over town.
The only hard lead to Adela's whereabouts came when she made a call to Greg one night. The FBI traced the call to Hendersonville, North Carolina. When they went there, she was gone. Law enforcement officials suspected Dr. Russell was helping Adela hide, and in June 1990, Russell was sent to jail for refusing to reveal her whereabouts. This prompted a demonstration by his patients.
They found no evidence whatsoever that I had aided and abetted her. The way the edict read was that if I turn her in or if I find her and bring her back, then I would not be in jail, but she would be. And I would personally rather be in jail than to have my daughter in jail.
Well, I really feel like it was a very selfish thing for her to do. I just don't see, how in her own mind she justifies that she's solving any problems by taking a child and running all over the country with her.
Authorities have traced Adela and Tamara as far as Arcadia, Indiana, where the trail ends. They have unconfirmed sightings in such locations as Miami, Jacksonville, and Oregon. As for the two grandfathers, neither Dick Griffiths waiting for news nor Dr. Russell waiting in jail will get a good night's sleep until Adela and little Tamara return. Tamara Olivia Griffiths is 22 months old. She is 30 inches tall, weighs 27 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes. Adela Russell Griffiths is 21 years old. She is 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighs 120 pounds. Her hair and eyes are brown. Adela has worked as a medical secretary and receptionist. Dick Griffiths is offering a $5,000 reward for information directly leading to the safe return of Tamara Griffiths. If you've seen Tamara or Adela, please call our 24-hour hotline. When we return, $500,000 for animation cells, and a young Grateful Dead fan disappeared.
The worst diaper experience was a real messy leak at my father's surprise party.
It was in the car. It was all over the car seat. All over Dad, on his work clothes.
The worst kind of leak is definitely a messy leak.
That's why we made new Ultra Pampers with dual leak barriers to help stop messy leaks better than any Pampers ever.
They really work. The messy leaks are no more.
That's because these new Ultra Pampers have 2 extra leak barriers to help stop the wet leaks and block the messy leaks better than ever.
The leak barriers really hold the mess.
It worked on the wet leak and it worked on the messy leak.
They just don't let anything out. Really incredible.
It's an insurance policy.
New Pampers with leak barriers even help stop messy leaks for dry and happy babies.
Joey's happy.
A little cheddar makes plain veggies taste better. But take the cheddar cheese away and you can just say,
No way!
'cause cheddar cheese makes all the difference.
Hooray!
On all kinds of vegetables, cheese makes all the difference.
The big show comes to St. Louis's Kiel Auditorium December 29th and 30th. Auto Baby! Showcasing some of the most beautiful show cars and race cars in the country. See Rusty Wallace's NASCAR Winston Cup Championship car. Bigfoot Fast Tracks. America's favorite sports fan, Busty Hall. Direct from L.A., the Chippendale. Men and Women's Bodybuilding Contest. Midwest Championship Arm Wrestling. And Life in the Fast Lane Swimsuit Contest. December 29th and 30th at Kiel Auditorium. Auto Mania. The hottest show in town. Be there. It's gonna be smoking.
I can't believe all the money I saved, thanks to you and you.
You're welcome.
Choice beef.
And fresh produce. All with a double your money back guarantee.
All this quality, all priced lower.
Hi, are you busy?
No, just talking to a few friends.
She's smart. At Shop and Save, she got it all.
The more you shop, the more you save. Shh, you've got it all at Shop and Save.
It seems like we're always hearing fantastic real estate stories. Well, here's a really unusual one. Recently, a man in Philadelphia sold his house. Before he moved out, he cleaned his garage and left some piles of trash on the curb. The new owners noticed some photographs on top of one of the piles, and they turned out to be a rare series of old photographs which they sold for $93,500, almost twice what they paid for the house. Companies clean out files in storage areas too, And for years, major motion picture studios tossed costumes, sets, and millions of these animation cells, now considered valuable works of art. The first commercially successful animated film was Gertie the Trained Dinosaur by Winsor McCay, produced in 1914, a dramatic technical breakthrough for its time.
In those days, they didn't even have such a thing as a cell, so they had to draw not only each character on paper, but the background as well. A few years later, the cell was invented, and so it saved a lot of work.
It also created a hobby and business for former magazine editor Jerry Muller, whose collection of animation cells has been shown in 50 American museums.
One reason the early cells are valuable is because most of them were thrown away. If every single one of them was saved, you wouldn't see $100,000 and $200,000 price tags on certain rare items.
The 1937 Disney classic Snow White had more preliminary drawings than any film before or since, close to 1 million in all. An original cell of Snow White and the Witch is worth up to $10,000 and up to $50,000 with an original background.
Here's the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles eating pizza, one of the most important things they do, I guess. But the turtle cells are the hottest thing this summer. This is Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians. It's worth $1,200 to $1,500. This is a cell from Grin and Bear It, 1954, Walt Disney Studio, of course. It is valuable because it has the original production background, so that's what makes this valuable. And this piece is worth between $3,000 and $4,000.
In the collector's world, cartoons are no longer child's play. Prices of animation art have increased 10 times over the past 10 years.
I would pay $100,000 for a black and white cell with background containing Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck.
Jerry Muller has $500,000 to spend on your old animation cells. Animation cells and other valuable items are waiting to be found by savvy viewers. We've put together a booklet describing hundreds of collectibles and the people who will pay top dollar for them. If you'd like a copy, call our 24-hour Missing Reward hotline. Missing Reward Bulletin. A Florida family is looking for their 20-year-old son. Douglas Simmons was born in 1970. He grew up in Pensacola, Florida, the son of Bob and Brenda Simmons. Doug seemed doubly blessed, excelling in both sports and school. He earned straight A's, lettered in football, and received a Presidential Fitness Award. Doug went to college on an academic scholarship, but in college his performance suffered as he began using drugs. Eventually, Doug entered a drug treatment program. When he returned to school, he began getting A's again. Then on July 10th, 1990, Doug went to a Grateful Dead concert in Raleigh, North Carolina. Friends say he was acting strangely and may have been under the influence of LSD. After the opening act, Doug said he wanted to wait in the car. His friends never saw him again. Authorities combed the thick woods around the stadium, but Doug was nowhere to be found. His parents and friends can't understand what happened to him. He had just signed up for another semester of college and was scheduled to return to his job 2 days later. Douglas Stephen Simmons is 20 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall with brown hair and blue eyes. When he was last seen, Doug was wearing gray shorts, a white tank top, white Reeboks, and a white and red baseball cap. A $2,000 reward is offered for information leading to his return.
The holiday season always meant one thing to me. Everybody came home, and I mean everybody. They came from every coast, by train, by plane, whatever it took, just to be together. We'd always go to church on Christmas Eve, then have a midnight breakfast. Oh, and the entire season, we could stay up as late as we wanted. It was great. To this day, we still continue that tradition. To us, Being together is what the holidays are all about. And from all of us in the Channel 4 family, we're wishing you a very merry holiday season.
You're in a fight for your life. The enemy is in your sights, and you're blazing away in the most memorable dogfights of the century in an explosive new video series, Air Combat. Never before on video or television, this action-packed collection takes you up with the first flying fighters and keeps sending you into action in the finest fighting machines ever built for a dangerous daredevil ride through the sky wars of the world. You'll have a Spitfire at your side and a Messerschmitt under the gun in the Battle of Britain. Riding shotgun in a P-51 Mustang, you'll be there for the bombing of Berlin, and you'll have your hands full in a Hellcat as Zeros swarm the skies over Midway. In Air Combat, you'll streak over Korea in a Saberjet to face the menace from MiG Alley, fly a chopper right into the thick of the enemy's Vietnam jungle, and swoop into valleys of danger in the thundering Fa-18 Hornet. Dive into one mission after another as Air Combat pushes all the right buttons with dramatic footage that never misses the target. Call this toll-free number now and get your first cassette, The War Aces, for the low introductory price of only $9.95. The top guns of all time show you the right stuff with an eagle's eye view of Air Combat. Keep it and another exciting video will follow. Cancel anytime. You'll also receive free The Fighting Flying Tigers, a bold, uncensored stereo adventure of guts and glory, fought in the stormy Burma skies. The enemy surrounds you, death is nearby, and danger never leaves. These are the times when heroes are born. Take off with them in the high-flying adventure of the Air Combat Video Collection. Don't miss it.
Call 1-800-272-3400 and get your first tape, The War Aces, by charging it, or send $12.45 to Air Combat Box 5079, Clifton, New Jersey.
People offering rewards in the stories you've just seen are counting on you to come forward. If you have information, or if you're interested in obtaining a booklet about additional rewards, call our 24-hour hotline, 1-900-860-0860. All calls are confidential. Look at these pictures of Tamara Griffiths and her mother, Adela, carefully. There's a $5,000 reward for information leading to Tamara's safe return. Doug Simmons disappeared during a Grateful Dead concert in Raleigh, North Carolina. His family is offering $2,000 for his return. And collector Jerry Muller wants animation cells. He'll pay up to $500,000. I'm Stacy Keach. Join us next week for another episode of Missing Reward. See you then.
Travel arrangements furnished by the Travel Savers Club, offering special worldwide travel benefits available at our 1,900 Travel Savers agencies nationwide. Call Travel Savers.